We were at my sister's birthday dinner, a fancy restaurant in downtown Chicago where everything glittered. The walls, the glasses, the people pretending to have perfect lives. Everyone came dressed like it was a miniature wedding. Suits, heels, shimmering dresses. The energy was loud, chaotic, full of jokes and stories, wine pouring left and right. And right beside me sat my husband, Daniel, quiet, composed, the complete opposite of the wild energy surrounding him. He always carried himself like a man who didn't need attention to be noticed. He sat straight, listened when people spoke, smiled politely, made small comments here and there. But compared to my sister's loud friends and dramatic stories, he looked almost invisible. And maybe that made something stupid inside me want to push him just to see if I could make him react, make him show emotion, make him look like the kind of loud, bold man these dinners always seemed to shine a spotlight on. I didn't realize how much I'd regret it afterward. The disaster started when the conversation turned to relationship effort. My sister's newly engaged friend was bragging about her fiancé, like he was a Disney prince. Trips every month, romantic. Surprises, handwritten letters, massages, flowers delivered to her office. The other couples jumped in laughing, teasing, comparing little romantic gestures. Someone asked my sister's friend, "Who's the most romantic guy at this table?" She squealed and pointed at her fiancé, and the table burst into applause. Then someone, I can't even remember who, turned to me and asked jokingly, "So, how's your husband doing, keeping you happy?" It was clearly meant to be lighthearted. I could have easily said, "Yeah, he's amazing," and moved on. But something inside me, ego, insecurity, stupidity, I don't know, pushed me toward the worst answer imaginable. I lifted my wine glass, smirked, and said loudly enough for the whole table to hear, "Honestly, I think I need a new husband." The laughter was immediate, but not genuine. It was the kind of laugh people use to hide discomfort, the kind people use when they're not sure if they're supposed to laugh or defend the person being mocked. I felt the awkwardness, but instead of stopping, I made it worse. I tapped Daniel's shoulder and said, seriously, if anyone knows a guy who listens and actually takes initiative, send him my way. My sister's face hardened instantly. She knew I had crossed a line. Her fiancé looked away. One of her friends bit her lip awkwardly, and Daniel, he just stared at me. Not with anger, not with hurt, but with a kind of coldness I had never seen before. A silence that had weight. It scared me in a way I didn't understand yet. He slowly set down his fork. He didn't rush, didn't fidget, didn't blink faster. It was the calmness of a man who had just stopped caring in real time. He wiped his fingers with a napkin, placed it neatly on the table, and when he finally spoke, his voice was low, steady, and sharper than anything I had ever heard from him. Well, he said, if you're taking applications, I'll gladly free up the position tonight. The air snapped. Every sound in the restaurant seemed to vanish. The clinking of plates, the background music, nearby conversations, all gone. You could have heard a pin drop. That's how silent it became. He wasn't done. He leaned back slightly, eyes pinned on me, and continued in the same icy tone. You joke about needing a new husband, but maybe you should consider why your husband stopped trying in the first place. Someone across the table gasped quietly. My heart slammed in my chest. His words weren't loud, but they were brutal, devastating. He kept going. You have spent so long mocking, belittling, making everything a joke. You forgot that eventually people stopped wanting to participate in your games. He paused just long enough for the words to sink into my skin like needles. If you think being disrespectful makes you funny, then no wonder you're looking for replacements. You don't know how to value what you have. I tried to speak. My voice trembled. Daniel, I was just... He raised a hand gently. That small gesture shut me down instantly. No, he said. Stop, you weren't joking. You meant it enough to say it publicly. He took his glass of water, sipped calmly, then added in a tone so controlled it was terrifying. You've embarrassed me before, but tonight you embarrassed yourself more than you realize. My sister's face was pale. Her friend whispered, holy wow. Even the waiter who approached froze, stepped back, and pretended he saw nothing. And me, I felt the blood drain from my face. I had never seen Daniel like this, not once in all our years together. He wasn't angry. He was done. Truly done. And that realization dropped into my stomach like a stone. He stood up. No dramatic movements, no slamming, nothing theatrical. He adjusted his jacket, placed his napkin beside his plate, and looked at me with finality in his eyes. "You want a new husband," he said quietly. "Good. Because after tonight, you won't have to pretend anymore." My throat tightened. "Daniel, please." He didn't even turn fully toward me. He simply said, "That's the problem. You only say please when the damage is already done." Then he walked out. No yelling, no scene, no anger, just a quiet, devastating exit. The table remained frozen for nearly a full minute. My sister stared at me in disbelief. Her fiancé muttered, "Damn, he really meant that." Someone else whispered, "Why would you say that to him?" I felt myself shrinking in my chair, heat burning my face as the reality of what I had done settled in. I had pushed the one person who had always stood by me. I had mocked the man who had supported me through everything. I had turned him into a joke. And he finally stopped letting me. The restaurant noise slowly returned. But the shame didn't fade. It only grew heavier, louder, crushing, because Daniel's ice-cold reply wasn't just a clapback. It wasn't just a moment. It was a breaking point, one I had created with my own careless words. And for the first time, I realized I might have actually lost.